All right, so thank you so much. We're low on likes. Please help me hit that like button. Thank you so much. Hit that like button. Thank you. I need about, let me see. I need about 6 more people to hit the like button if you're getting value from this. Thank you so much. I appreciate you. Let's keep going right here. So again, we're talking about this young lady, Oyindamola, who is the one in green. Okay. And the husband snatcher, alleged husband snatcher, is the one in red. Okay. She's the one that, the new wife. She's the one with the legal marriage. That's what it's called. But let's keep going. She continues. She said, I wanted to believe him, but deep down, I knew something wasn't right. I cried my eyes out, feeling betrayed and helpless. Okay. Can we believe this? Yes. Upon returning to USA, I couldn't shake the feeling that I needed to do something about the situation. So for people that say, hey, so you can sleep with each other, but you can't check each other's phone, this is usually the backstory of that conversation. You can't run around the social media street asking people to show their phone without telling us the backstory of why you feel that way. A lot of you feel that way because of this kind of experience. There is a reason. Okay? There's a reason why you have a sudden need to dig through another person's phone. Sudden need. Maybe it has nothing to do with this present relationship. Maybe it has to do with your past experience. But there's a reason. We need to acknowledge that. It's all I'm saying. Okay? So if a woman has gone through this, it only makes sense to her now that she wants to go through the phones and dig in even beyond. And if she doesn't find anything in the phone, do you think she has peace of mind? No. Remember, I kept saying that. She still won't have peace of mind, right? She's still looking for peace of mind. This is almost a year later, right? Because if she has peace of mind, she won't be posting this on the internet. She's still looking for some sort of validation somehow, some way. Maybe she needs to do this because it's eating her up inside. Sometimes you just need to speak out, right? But it's just part of the journey. It doesn't get you to the solution, right? Anyway, so she continues, and I quote, I decided to voice my concerns. Let's go back. I couldn't shake the feelings that I needed to do something about the situation. With a heavy heart, I decided to voice my concern to my husband's parents. However, their response was I should put my mind at rest, that he would never do such a thing. His mother insisted that the lady was merely a business partner, but my husband quickly silenced her from revealing any more. Okay, so it makes sense to me that they might not want to be all the way through much in the story until, they probably were in fear as well. But yes, some people will back their children too. But I believe that majority of the time it's really none of their business. You really think about it. If a man is this reckless and they will go to Nigeria and marry a completely total stranger, and the people that he comes back and he feels safe enough to lay his head next to a person he's offended, not afraid that you can get deleted overnight if she stumbles into some, like that crazy text message that popped up. See how reckless that is, right? So when you say a woman or a man bring disease out to the household for you, he puts you in danger. So I want you to understand that is because internally he doesn't really care about life anymore too. Right? He might think he cares about life, but he's moving so reckless. I don't think he values life that as much as he should. I think he's taking life for granted. Let's say it that way, right? He thinks he's not in a good place. He might be quoting it and covering it up with, just making it look a certain way. But a man who would do that has no respect for himself. Shout out to you, Rebecca. I see you, Rebecca. Hello. All right, so this is a man who lacks self-respect. I know you probably don't want to hear this because you just want me to hear he say that he's wrong. It's clearly wrong, but he has no self-respect. He can't respect you if he doesn't have self-respect. He has no respect to offer you. He gets it. Make sense? No, none. Right? He deems it like, oh, let me travel to Nigeria. Let me just go and get some kerewa. Men that will travel to Nigeria because of kerewa. There's kerewa in every corner here if that's what you want. But men that will feel the need to do all of that, spend all that money, go spend all that money on random chicks that they don't really know. That kind of man has no self-respect. So he can't offer you anything. Okay? The other side of it is that if you know these things and you stay in that situation perpetually with this kind of person after you've known, there's a good chance that his lack of respect has eaten your own self-respect up completely. Like you don't have self-respect either, right? So it's like she's not going anywhere, so I might as well just stay, right? And what would Just Pearl say? What would Just Pearl say? Let's see what Just Pearl will say really quickly before we continue. Because Just Pearl is a special guest here today that she's kind of telling us some things that we don't necessarily know about how these things work. Let's see what Auntie Pearl has to say.
Station order here. And they can lock you up with zero evidence.
They can lock you up with zero evidence. No scratches on anybody's neck, nothing like that. They just look at you, they say you're a man. We're locking you up. Right? Oh, I get it. But hola, sometimes these women will scratch themselves. I get it. But you're still not telling me the backstory. How did you get into this space? You are the man, you're the leader. I hope that you're the leader. If you're not the leader, then that's a different conversation altogether. But from the way Just Pearl is talking, it sounds like she's talking about people who consider themselves leaders, right? Sometimes they come into your household on a Saturday morning. It's the weekend. They see scratches on the boy. They see scratches on the mother. Yes, she might have scratched herself in throwing each other around, whatever, right? So they say, you know what? It's gonna be Monday morning before we bring you out. We're gonna have to lock you up. Unfortunately, maybe she's in a space where she went mad too, crazy, and she's like, "No, I feel unsafe." Remember that story? I feel unsafe, and they said, "Well, she doesn't feel safe. We can't take the chances. We have to lock you up until Monday morning, and then the judge will listen to your story, and what do? Let me run to the internet and tell them that they locked me up." For no reason. What happens? Just Pearl things when she was 21 years old, 22, 3 years old, which is still a grown-ass woman, will be hiding in the comments and say, "Oh, my shield, that's not fair for this man. It's so not fair to this man. This is terrible. I have zero sympathy for women." Never mind everything that got them into that weekend in the first place. It's pointless. There's no need. Just hold her accountable. She should never have to call the cops on her husband. We don't need to know that. Let me tell you something. This is the best way to do it, gentlemen. If you're in this kind of position, if you feel like you might be in this position ever, you call the cops first. Before you end up in a tussling each other back and forth to the point where you might end up in jail, you call it's okay. Call the cops first. Okay? But what if they lock her up? Listen, if they lock her up, that's probably because she deserves it. Okay? She's probably all over the place and messy too. Then usually, like she said, she's right. But for the most part, they will believe the woman anyway. Right? So there's a high chance that she's not going to go to jail. But if there's marks all over your body and the cop says, "No, this is not okay," God help her, and she encountered a cop who is a member of the manosphere. She might end up in jail that day, right? But listen, what I'm telling you is that this idea that is bullshit. You need to call the cop first. If things are that bad in your marriage, you need to be calling the cop first. This is how you fix it. You don't fix it by hanging out in Just Pearl's comments 10 years later and talking about, "Listen, I have all kind of empathy for what you've gone through, but it's not good for anybody for you to keep running around the internet, around the world, enjoying the idea of hating women unknowingly, unintentionally. No, I just want to be masculine. No, you're full of shit. You're feminine at best." Let's keep going.
Okay. And typically you go to court and the judge has to stamp it. And typically the judge just stamps it, because when there's a crying woman, I mean, who doesn't believe that? Okay. Then during this time, he's slapped with child support. So now he can't see his kids because of the restraining order. On top of that, he has to pay a bunch of money in child support. His wife left him. And he doesn't have any friends because the entire community thinks he's an abuser. Now, mind you,
Okay, so let's get back to the backstories that Just Pearl will never tell us, right? Let's get back to that. Let's get back to the backstories that Just Pearl will probably never tell us. Okay, this is typical, right? By the way, like I said, men do go through stuff too, and there's a lot of women generalizing on the internet who will never tell us the backstories. Okay, but shout out to Oyindamola, she gave us more than enough, right? Anyway, let's keep going here. Upon returning to USA, I couldn't shake the feeling that I needed to do something about the situation. With a heavy heart, I decided to voice my concerns to my husband's parents. However, their response was I should put my mind at rest, that he will never do such a thing. His mother, blah, blah, blah. It's too hard. It might seem like they're taking sides. I have a feeling that we don't have enough information to claim that. They're confused. They're just confused. Like, they know that girlfriend, but they're like, what are you doing? Are you trying to mess up your whole family? Like, what are you doing? They're probably trying to do that, but in the meanwhile, they're hoping to contain things until they bust open. At some point, though, let me tell you something. Most likely, they will take sides with their son. Why? Because this son probably has his own story. Guess what side of the story they're going to believe? Okay? Don't just, let me see. She is a line aspirant. Yeah, let me tell you something. It might not be particularly lying. It might just be they choose, like most people would do, to believe his side of the story, which we don't know right now. Right? We don't know that right now. Okay? So that's what's going on. That, again, someone like Just Pearl will probably never tell us. Right? Why? Because she doesn't care. She just wants empathy for men. Right? And for as much empathy as she has for men, is that many super chats coming in. Thank you so much, Dylan, for the super chat. I appreciate you. Let's keep going. All these contradictions. Let's go back a little bit. However, the response, but my husband quiet. Okay, all these contradictions and evasiveness from the family began to take a toll on me, psychologically and mentally, abusing my sanity. They tried to minimize the issue, dismissing it as neither serious nor deep. I can see that. Driven by his desperate need for the truth, I took matters into my own hands. I went through my husband's phone. You see? Did I not tell you? I haven't read this part yet. I just skimmed through it. Now I'm reading with you now, for real. Okay? Because when I saw the beginning, I was like, we have to talk about this. The only aspect of it is that I know is what Auntie B read earlier as well. I took matters into my own hands. I went through my husband's phone and found some strange numbers that he had been communicating with on WhatsApp. My heart pounding, one of the numbers I called ended up being a female. I questioned her about her relationship with my husband, but she flatly denied knowing him at all. Feeling cornered, I hung up and sent a text message, including the picture as proof that her number was saved on his phone as Fisayo, which later found out her real name is Bumi Adedapo. Shout out to Bumi Adedapo. She's a woman. This is not your opportunity to drag men. It's not. It takes a woman for this story, one or two women, for this story to be created. Okay? We're not benefiting nothing out of making this a gender war thing. The only thing we're talking about here right now is the backstories. Okay? And I'm going to tell you what I think, even beyond this, all the way into the back, even beyond Oyindamola's story. There is more. There is more. But what we can tell so far is that this man had been in a space mentally where he's not a man. That's the only reason why a man will do this. If a man wants to remarry to another person, he might cheat a little bit. Eventually, the previous relationship will fall apart. At least, even if he doesn't say with his full chest that he's already dating someone, at least that relationship will kind of fall apart because it's disengaging. You know, kind of like Mercy Johnson and Mercy Aigbe's story. The Mercies, our representative on the whatchamacallit today. On the thumbnail today. Shout out to Mercy, the Mercies. They have their story. They are also special guests in this Mara. Right? So yeah. This is real. This is happening in real life. But a man that will deem it like he has nothing to lose to the point that he will just go ahead and throw himself under the bus like that in a global world where there's proof and pictures, they're posting pictures all over the place on the internet that you're committing bigamy, meaning you can lose everything. That man is not stable emotionally. So he was probably not capable of being a husband anyway. Does that make sense? All right. So a question, let me see. I think I went okay. Yet she still denied it, insisting that she had no connection to him whatsoever. I felt stuck, unsure of how to proceed. It seemed as if everyone involved was determined to keep me in the dark. You know, when you find yourself in that space where when you see that the last few years of your life has been a whole lie, as a feeling, right? Like you will feel like it's a complete lie. That's just how that comes. It will hit you like a storm. Like, wait, you need to wake up because I'm in a dream that you need to wake up from, right? When it hits you like a storm, you will question everything. So part of the things you will question is like, looks like everybody's lying to you. You will call your friends. Did you see this? Did you see that? You know, every call that comes in is like somebody's about to tell you something new. You can run mad in that space. This is the part that just Paul would not know. The only thing that Paul knows is that some men, they commit self-deletion when they divorce them, when they dump them. That's the only thing that just Paul knows. She could care less. Oh, I said bigamy. Anything by. Shout out to Chinye for correcting me. Bigamy. Thank you, Jerry. I questioned her about her relationship with my husband. No, wait. Let's go back a little bit. I went through my husband's phone and found some strange number that he had been communicating with on WhatsApp. My heart pounding, one of the phone numbers. Okay, we already went through that. I felt stuck, unsure how to proceed. It seemed as if everyone involved was determined to keep me in the dark, denying any serious relationship between my husband and Bumi. But I couldn't ignore the nagging feeling that there was more in the story. And I knew I had to keep digging to uncover the truth. So if this kind of woman eventually go and file divorce, and this kind of man loses everything he has in the Yankees, which is a source of anything he has, right? And he ends up collecting chopped breakfast, and he ends up, and then people like Just Pearl Things and the rest of the pick-me's on the internet will now say, oh, protect our men. Listen, I keep telling you, I appreciate the advocacy, but stop creating content that panders to men. It's not helpful. Men are built from challenges. They need to face the challenges. But so men should be self-deleting. No, that's not what I said. But I'm telling you, in real life, men understand that there are casualties. People die every day from diseases. People die every day, get hit by a bus, accidents, stuff like that. 200,000 plus people every day. Okay? It's just life. But the best chances for a man to really enjoy life is to stay on his throne as a king. Okay? If he needs help, he needs to consult with his other brothers. Hey, this is what I'm going through. Give me your perspective. I don't have the truth all the time. Just a perspective that may be different from yours. Women that pander, the same thing, by the way, men that pander to women don't help women either. Let me tell you that right now too. Same thing. Men that pander to women, right, they don't help women either. You're not going to get to the solution. You just have somebody making you feel good. Same thing. But I think it's worse for men, because men have responsibilities to maintain our society. We have responsibility. Why would we do that? What do we get? Because women are incubators. They multiply, reciprocate. We get more. They turn it to a home. They turn it to a beautiful life for us. So there is benefits in it. It's just that you have to be patient. You have to understand that there's seasons. There's due season. There's nobody that end up in divorce court just like that. There might be. There's exceptions, but that's not usually how it works. Okay? That's not how it works. Your growth as a man is in challenges. It's in being confused. When you're confused, it's time to learn something new. You don't just run to some random 26-year-old girl on the internet and say, yes, you're right. You're such a beautiful girl. There's no other girl like you in these streets. Of course not. Because you've been spending about 2-3 hours watching Just Pearl videos per day. Of course, there's no other girl like her in the streets. Because most girls, they sympathize with women. Most normal women, at some point, even if they pander small, at some point, they sympathize with women because they can relate. That's the normal behavior. A woman that cannot sympathize with women, the issues are deeper than what you may be talking about on the surface. Of course, you don't want to go deeper, but the issues are deeper. A man that can sympathize with a man is not normal behavior. It's not a normal behavior. Something in him can relate. Like, you know what? I can feel my brothers, right? Now I go through that all the time. Not all the time, not as much as in the beginning, but we have a bunch of lame men that will say, hey, that one is simple over there. That's a Derek Jackson over there, right? Right? After a while, their talking point is no more than 20. All of them is no more than 20. After I destroy them, they don't say it no more because they find out they're just lame for the most part. But at some point, I had to listen longer to them and say, my brothers are going through something. Maybe I can understand small before I continue to drag them. Maybe I can understand small of what they're going through, right? But when a man sits down on a microphone on the internet, just all he wants to do is pander to women, he doesn't know what's going on. It's disconnected from reality at best. Because the truth is that some men find themselves in a very terrible place because some women don't know how to behave. Product of what? Fatherless homes, the destruction of the family structures, right? The streets is getting messy. If you were able to raise your own children as a single parent and you did a good job, there are some that are doing terrible jobs. It's just a lot of work to raise children. It's just a lot of work. Okay? Let me continue here. I felt stuck, unsure of how to proceed. It seemed as if everyone involved, okay. On June 20th, 2022, my husband informed me that he needed to travel to Nigeria for an important project. I wasn't keen on the idea, but he managed to convince me with documentary evidence that he had been approved for a 57 million naira grant for the IG Epsilon_IO. It was starting a business. Listen, he probably started a business for real, but that usually comes with extracurricular activities too, right? And gas station, he was launching a gas station. Everybody wants to launch a gas station, all like oil and gas, right? He's building. He insisted that he had to be in Nigeria to monitor and supervise the project personally. All right, let me see here. So that's Oyindamola in green, and that's the wife in Nigeria. That's hard dancing. All right, let's not play that. Enjoying his life. That's him enjoying his life while we battling with COVID some years back. So he found a babe, and here it says picked him up at the airport July 5th, 2021, not knowing he just got married to another person entirely, committing bigamy. Chinye, right? We even bought welcome back balloons and customized card made by the kids. And then he gets like, what am I doing? He probably had serious moments where he was like, what am I doing? But damn, he did, man. He did. Uku. Well, now this is the wedding party. Check hashtags to see more pictures and video of a shameful union. There was a whole wedding. Right? Somebody is looking for my fight. Somebody is looking for my fight in the chat. Somebody is looking for somebody they're looking. I don't have, it's not Hokuni. Hokuni, Auburn, right? Is it not see two women on the screen right now? It's not two women on the screen, right? We haven't seen the gentleman's face. I call him gentleman. Somebody's like, why are you calling him a gentleman? You should drag him. Listen, this guy not a collect woto. He lost. Do you know what it means for a man to lose his family? Right? And this is just the ice. This is icing on the cake. You know, I don't know if you know that in reality, in real life, men are held accountable like almost instantly. Right? I don't know if you know that. Don't worry, he will collect. Oh, it will collect. Don't worry. Right? It will end up in Mac.
You will end up in McDonald's.
He can't escape it. But guess who else go end up in McDonald's? You see these two ladies on the screen? All of them. Because show me your friend in me. Yeah? Show me your friend in your own. There's no escaping it. Okay? There's no escaping this. I tell you. Oh my show. Only if human beings would know. You know, the older you get, you just see that. Yeah, it's not worth it. It's not worth it. Yeah. But no, if you know any of these chicks in the picture that were friends, close friends with her, run for your life. Listen, there are patterns in life. What makes up the structure of what we call life, a social construct, it's all kind of patterns in life. But life is not everyone. You know me now. I know they like generalization too, but at some point you gotta pay attention to some behavior. You see someone like Carl repeating a talking point over, at some point you gotta be like, this girl is lame. She doesn't know what she's talking about. You just gotta be. For me, it takes 2 sentences usually. I'm like, what is she talking about? Okay, all right. For an average person, it might take a day or two. Listen, 2 or 3 times. For 1.39 million people, you might never be able to save these people. Okay, I'm telling you. Listen, I'm not trying to be Captain Save everybody.
You think so? They're wise.
Listen, shout out to you if you're one of these 29 people here watching me. You're all I care about. That's it. Okay, that's it. Let's keep going. Yes, so this is a screenshot of a message. Madam, you're taking it too far because this person you're talking about, I don't even know him. That's a screenshot of the message when she was trying to find out, right? Yeah. Hey, baby. I see. It's nice. See, nice. Okay, I'll see you later. Bye-bye. Okay, reached out when she wrote, every time she sees my picture, it makes her sad. And please, who told you I was following you on Instagram? Maybe you're mistakenly for someone. So she had been following, she said it makes her sad. All that. You get that gist, right? Let's go and continue here. Okay, continuation. On June 27th, 2022, right, I found out that my son had also contracted COVID-19 and started running a fever. I was furious with him for leaving us in such a vulnerable state, and I couldn't bring myself to answer any of his calls. So he was calling from Nigeria, she couldn't answer. Okay, that will happen. You know, obviously a lot was going on. The kid caught COVID, all that kind of stuff. My anger grew as I struggled to care for my sick child, feeling isolated and overwhelmed. On July 1st, I was resting in bed with my daughter when I received a phone call from a friend of mine. She inquired about the whereabouts of my husband and asked if there were any problems in the marriage. I told her there was no issue, aside from him leaving for Nigeria while I was sick with our son. She then asked if that was truly the only problem in our home. My curiosity grew. I asked her what she meant. My friend sent me a picture that made my heart drop. They were dressed in white and pink. Let me see. Dressed in white and pink, coordinating colors, looking all too comfortable with each other. Let me see. I think this is the picture she's talking about. That's the wife you're looking at on the screen. Okay. The wind was knocked out of my sails. And I don't even understand that much English. I felt completely blank. I dialed his number, my hands shaking with fury. Instead of addressing my concerns, he began interrogating me about not picking up his calls. Remember that she already said she wasn't picking up calls at one point. because people were catching COVID and all that kind of stuff. I couldn't believe his audacity ignoring his questions. I sent him the picture my friend had shared with me and demanded an explanation. You can't convince me that, listen, if this man is this wicked, God had saved her. But you can't convince me that this is not a very weak man. The only thing that you can claim is maybe he has money. Maybe he's a physically tall, big guy. But as a man, you can't convince me that this is not a weak man. That if somehow the story had to be told this way, which I know is dangerous, because again, people can self-delete going through this kind of stuff, right? You can't convince me that this is not a weak man, right? Again, like I said, in reality, I try to tell us not to be delusional here. It's completely unrealistic to tell people to leave instead of cheating. It's unrealistic. Human beings they're not set up that way. Human beings are set up to enjoy the secrecy, the secret affair, and then they would gravitate apart. At least the good ones, the ones that still have some home training, that care about life, care about other people, don't want to hurt people at that level. They might gravitate away. The relationship will fall apart. She might have been smelling it that this guy is dating somebody else, and then before marrying another. But a person who is still actively with a wife and moves ahead to go and marry another person, I don't care if it's 20,000 miles away. That is a very, very weak man. He immediately started apologizing. Again, another sign that he's a weak man. If it's something that is like, listen, she was mean to me, and I just found myself in this space that I don't know. I just moved on. I wanted to tell her. I couldn't tell her. He will never be able to find himself apologizing. He's apologizing because he's a weak man. What is he apologizing for? Exactly what? Yeah. He told me that the lady was celebrating her birthday. And so he's still lying, right? So if you feel the need to lie, this type of lie, listen, petty lies, white lies, I'll be there in a second. But it takes you another 15 minutes to get there. That's still a lie, but I'm not talking about those kind of lies, right? That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about outright lies that can take lives out. Lies that indicates that you're taking life for granted. You don't care about lives, not even your own life. Of course, other people's lives, your children's lives. You don't care because these chicks, when we say somebody's for the streets in Nigeria, I'm telling you, they will do whatever they have to do to take over that family. They will destroy everything. Okay? If it gets down to it. Listen, I almost want to say any woman, but of course not, because everyone is in different spaces in life. But I'm saying, you know what happens when you starve somebody, right? They will eat anything, including their own children, right? So people are just in that space in certain societies where they're willing to destroy anybody to take over their territory. It's an active marketplace. Sometimes it's blatant like this. Most of the time, it's emotionally speaking. Emotionally, somebody will steal your husband and he will break up with you first and then go and marry somebody else. It's still, it's stealing, but not stealing because, like we were saying at the chat earlier, if they want to be stolen, people can steal. Women know this type of women, they know exactly what they're doing, but they're in that space where like, I don't wrestle with a tiobu. Now Yankee with the talk. The other story, shout out to Victoria. She was talking about Germany. Victoria is still here hanging out with me. Victoria, you did it. God will not forget you. I know I tried to call you earlier. Yeah, she's not. But let's get back to it. Yeah, it's serious stuff. Serious, right? He told me that the lady was celebrating pictures. I couldn't help believe, blah, blah, blah. He said he's sorry. All he could say was, I'm sorry, because I hung up the phone. Not long after our conversation, my friend called that they had taken down the picture on the colography. So they had the picture on a colography Instagram page. I couldn't handle the emotional breakdown alone, so I reached out to my family and friends. Their support was invaluable, but I was still emotionally drained and on the verge of a mental breakdown. Listen, as we're covering this story right now, should we have another breakdown? It doesn't go away like that. It's not that simple. So she needs to engage help as soon as possible. As we're talking about this story, it will tamper, it will mess with the wound. Right? And it's gonna hurt. It's fresh. It's raw. Right? Determined to find out the truth, I spoke to a friend who had found a mutual friend of Wumi Adedapo on Instagram. All right, let's continue. Through this connection, I gathered more information. So now she's now being a detective in her own household. She's now actively. How many hours do you think this takes for her to be gathering all of this? Do you think she can function properly at work? Auntie Pearl, do you think she can function properly at work? Do you think she might find herself in a space where she realizes, like, wait, it's 2023. I don't have to stay in a stupid marriage because of duty and responsibility. Might she? Maybe. What do you think, Pearl? Let's bring Pearl back to the stage. Maybe Pearl can tell us a little bit more about how she feels about something she has no experience about. Let's get into Pearl a little bit.
Family court.
Pearl is opening papers for us.
You don't need any evidence to make
No
any
evidence.
claims. It's based on a balance of probabilities. So, what happens next? Let's say he doesn't pay the child support. He could either go to jail or they just take it out of his bank account. They just take it.
Pearl, now weary person. Now weary somebody,
No.
I swear.
And if he reaches out to his children, he can also,
Go to jail.
which he's legally allowed to do. There have been cases of the women
She can't help
abuse
herself
as well.
from being dumb.
And it just furthers the restraining order. Now, I could be butchering this a little bit, okay?
A little bit.
But I spoke to a man yesterday that went through this. So then he has to
She
wait
said-
for
she said a
couple
little-
days to see his kids. Now remember, he took his kids
Wait.
away with no evidence. And this could take up 6 months to a year to even get to court. And with COVID, some men were not seeing their kids for 2 years before they could even have a chance to get their kids back. Now imagine.
At this point, she says some men. Somebody said, but she's not generalizing. See, if somebody has to say opposite of some before they know you're generalizing, you're part of the problem. Okay? Context matters. Sometimes you say some, you're still generalizing based off of your context, your vibe, your repetitive talking points. 6,000 videos, 1.39 million subscribers. You are, I don't care how many times you say some, I just meant some, I meant 2%. No, you're full of shit. You were generalizing. Okay? So it's not just the words that make it generalizing. We can listen to your rhetorics and we know you're generalizing or speaking from a place of no experience.
You have a newborn or a 2-year-old, and you haven't seen those kids in 2 years, and you have two options, okay? You go to court. You can either take the guilty plea or you can fight it. Now, what happens?
Take the guilty plea or fight it, right? So, listen, once you end up, gentlemen, if you end up in that court, your life, you go end up in McDonald's. She's telling the truth in that case, okay? Like, all of you, your children, your wife, all of you, you go cry. There's no way around it. She's not lying, right? But she's also telling 1/4 of the truth. She didn't tell us Oyindamola's story. She doesn't care about such stories. In fact, she has a talking point to tackle every single time you try to bring her to that space. In fact, she disengages. She disengages from, like, what are you going to tell me? That these women they have shelters that they can put their children if you kick them out on the streets. This is what Pearl said, though.
These nuts.
Pearl doesn't care. She has zero sympathy for women.
Don't care. Don't care. Don't care. Still don't care. I don't care. I don't. I don't care.
Could it work? She's looking for a husband. The husband that will marry her is lame. She will need complete makeover, mentally speaking, and some time off from this kind of conversation. But we're not judging Pearl. She's a special guest, like Auntie Mercy's, the merciless Mercy, like somebody said in the chat earlier, right? Don't be juju with that. You're saying some to cover your tracks of someone saying that you're generalizing. Exactly. They say some, and then, oh, but I didn't generalize. Yes, you did. Stop the cap. You know exactly what you're doing when you say some. Anyway, let's keep going here. In my desperation, oh, let me share the screen. Let's leave probably. It's a matter of fact. Before we continue, let me pay a little bit of bills here really quickly. I'll be right back. Let me drink.